Hi, Pete Lockett here again. Bit more shakers for you today. We started to look at the basics last time of simple shaker patterns, some 16th and 8th notes, some accents. Another useful thing to start to bring into your shaker repertoire is a short roll. So literally that easy. So we can start to bring this in at different points in the bar. I use it a lot, kind of leading out of sections and into kind of changes and stuff like that. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and. So we're rolling on the and of 4. Of course, that roll will be kind of played slightly differently depending on whatever tempo you're at. So, for example, or so it's going to come out differently depending on whatever tempo that you're playing at. Or you could take a roll that lasted the whole of beat 4. Let's see what that sounds like. Of course, you wouldn't do that throughout as a pattern. You're just going to do the roll leading into a different section or a change or arrangement or something like that. So you can practice it round in a loop to try and get comfortable with it. But at the end of the day, you're just going to be doing that type of fill or embellishment every time you're coming up to a change or you're going to do there's something different happening in the music. Another great way to break up shaker patterns and make something interesting is to start to put gaps in between the forward and backward motions. So if we were to think of a pattern that was, say, for example, duck, 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 and then we would have away, back, away, and then the reverse, back, away, back. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Or you could have that reversed. So you'd have da 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 da. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Of course, you could also do those as 16th notes. So we'll go back to the 16th note version of example 3. Da, 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 da. These sort of patterns can be really useful in terms of creating some sort of different top end pattern that will conflict or will kind of embellish or change or interact with a hi-hat pattern, for example, or other top end stuff that you've put into a mix. Let's just go through example 3 and example 5 as 8th notes and 16th notes. 3, 4, and. And again, we can reverse that in the same way that we did with example 4. Taka-dim, 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 da. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, we can combine that, example 4 and example 6. 8th notes with that pattern, 16th notes with that pattern. 3, 4, and. And we can start to look at groups of 3. So for example, at the moment, we've got groups of 2. But if we made that slightly longer, tuck, tuckadina, tuck, tuckadina, tuck, tuckadina, tuck, and we use the same idea. This is the basis for example 7, where we use the grouping of 3, 3, 2, as we did earlier in the cajon lessons. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Notice how the accent coming backwards is not as loud as the or as staccato as the accent going forwards. There's just that little bit of decay when you get the backwards accent. Now let's do the final example, which is a version of example 7, but instead of tut tut at the end, we have takadina. So we fill in those 2 8th notes and make them into a group of 16th notes. And notice how that I'm accenting the groups of 16th notes at the end. 3, 4, and. So these little patterns that you know are seemingly very easy conceptually to get together, they take a little bit of time, but it's not that complex and can really add a lot into a recording or a mix or a track, or even doing something live, mixing that in with your drum set playing. It's all very usable material and works really well in the studio. So I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing you next time for another random instrument.